Guys, could we all agree with the fact that Rock is best girl? When he got shrunk down and was running around headbutting people, I'm like, okay, this man is officially best Cinderella Gator of all time. Today, we're going to talk about the grand finale of Volume 1, the final examination. And for me, this was the arc that really got me to understand why Tower of God is the shit and why the series has such a cult following. From a top level perspective, this arc gave an epicness that can only be matched to Avengers Infinity War. Looking at a bird's eye view of the submerged fish map, Shu does a freaking phenomenal job of exploring the different badass groups of characters at different parts of the map. And to add to this predicament, in good old Tower of God fashion, they of course gotta throw in every worst case scenario possible. Even before the final exam happened, we learned the true reason for having this test from the director when talking to Ren. By the way, bruh, what is up with that Ren fellow? He deadass got a whole human centipede in his mouth. But the director pretty much said that this test was rigged from the start, and it is to prevent irregulars from entering the upper levels of the tower. Then he, by the way, I too, with 90% of the audience, was freaking out when we found out that the director was a male and not a female. I knew Tower of God had a pretty good amount of traps, but not that type of trap. So the director then proceeds to join hands with Mr. Centipede, and I'm like, let's go, baby! And after getting nut checked by a mini Rock and Bam being a Karen and asking for the manager, we finally got introduced to the final exam. At first, the premise was pretty straightforward. The group had to get Bam and Lahel into the mouth of the Mandal Queen. However, this smooth rite of passage was prevented by three different parties. Firstly, the thieves and their giant marsh worms. Secondly, the dogs that eat Mandal whales. And lastly, the bull that kills everyone, beasts and humans alike. And because we're talking about Tower of God here, guess what happened? Yep, you guessed right. The bull of course had to show up and attack no other than Ajashi. It is a Tower of God if we don't see Ajashi doing the Nezuko run at least one time in the arc. Now this is where I really like the approach Shu took, because when shit hit the fan, it really exposed the disunity among the party. Which I totally understand, because for the past arcs, these are the same people that were going at each other's throats, and all of a sudden, they are expected to gather around the campfire and sing some songs. Firstly, I love the Zahard girls, but boy, do they not get along. Instead of coordinating a two-person attack against the bull, Anak is like, yo, let's have a bet. I could wager my green April, and if you win, you could be my slave. Whoever defeats the bull first on a one-on-one battle wins the bet. And of course, Rosie is like, okay. I'm not gonna lie, seeing Rosie doing Bruce Lee kicks and some Grand Princess Majesty spin kicks was pretty hot. But we don't got time for that, people. Right before Rosie went for the kill, Anak had to trip my waifu. Why you do that? This internal bickering between the Zahard sisters led to the bull getting away, and ultimately leading to the two of the strongest members of Bomb's party to completely fall into the trap of Proctor Ren, who of course brilliantly orchestrated this trap based on understanding the behaviors and minds of both Anak and Rosie through being their instructor. So while all this was happening at that part of the map, there was a lot of miscommunication in another focal location. Rock and this man whose face looks like a booger were keeping watch over the army of thieves. And despite Kun explicitly telling them not to attack the thieves until notified, Mr. Rotten Grain of Rice had to chuck his spear right at the thieves. Mr. Booger, you had one job. So at this point, with there being complete mayhem all across the map, I could only imagine the stress of Kun, for he was the tactician for the final exam. To be totally honest, if I was him, I would have been like, fuck this, I'm out. But before the Zahar sisters were wiped out by Ren and the fishermen being gobbled up by 20,000 worms, Big Nuna Yuri has finally entered the chat. And with her arrival, the tide of the war has completely shifted. Yuri and her Wall Hike Song gang straight up was taking a walk in the park. Firstly, when Yuri approached Ren did this really freakish weird thing that I can only describe as a Shinheo orgasm.
What the hell is this?
But our badass Nuna wiped these suckers clean and flicked, I repeat, flicked Ren to a wall. Then Yuri's teammates, Kuradan, did a freaking Hulk smash from 200 feet and killed Mr. Centipede. And of course, right before Ren died, he is like, this body is merely a container and my real body is somewhere else. Hail Hydra. I bet one day 10 Rens are going to show up and they're all going to consecutively do a synchronized Shinheo orgasm. But I felt that this scene was revealing in the sense that the power dynamics of the Zahar royal house is mad complicated. If Aunt Rosie and Big Nuna Yuri being a princess, Anak being a daughter of a princess, and Ren working directly for a princess, and at that point makes it this intense and complicated, imagine what would happen if you throw in like 10 more princesses in the mix. It would straight up be Jesus' second coming. So after Yuri erased one of Ren's body from existence, Kun was finally able to focus on the main stage, which was eliminating the thieves' party. Again, on some Genghis Khan tactician shit, Kun was able to delegate his party into leading the dogs directly to the thieves. After studying and understanding the network of paths that the dogs take, Kun was able to instruct party members to destroy certain paths so that the dogs would be redirected directly to the thieves. So while there's this interspecies conflict, the rest of the party just went all out. And is it just me, or did anybody else get hyped as fuck when Rock jumped from a 200 feet high cliff and jumped directly into the middle of the battlefield? Best Girl Rock got balls so big, he could stop a volcanic explosion with his balls. So with the worms subdued and Ren out of the picture, the curtain is finally lifted for the final act. Shu then focuses on Bam and Rachel, encapsulated in this sort of oxygen bubble, being slowly lifted into the Mandal Queen's mouth. In this segment of the arc, we finally get some good Bam development. We quickly learned that the bull got away from Yuri earlier and was headed directly to Rachel and Bam. The bull then shows up and starts beating around the bubble that Bam and Rachel are in. So Bam at this point is like, I am tired of all this bull crap. Then right when the bull completely consumes the bubble, in the split second the bull opens his mouth, Bam lets out a Kamehameha blast and instantly kills the bull. So as the dead bull is slowly drifting to the bottom of the ocean, Bam with his battle-bloodied outstretched hands tells Rachel, I will be by your side and take you to the top of the tower. And to my and the rest of the Tower Gods readers' complete surprise, Pikachu surprise face, Rachel completely shitted on this heartfelt moment by Spartan pushing Bam out of the bubble directly into the bottomless ocean abyss. Rachel, you self-entitled bitch. I curse you, your family, your future kids, and grandkids. I hope when you climb to the top of the tower, the king of Zahar himself will Spartan kick you off the tower. I'm going to